probably went like several years without actually knowing what he says in that line.
Oh, really?
Yeah, because I didn't know that his character's name was Bonesaw for like a decade. It's like, what
Yeah,
the
no,
hell?
I've seen that movie so many times, so I like know it by heart too.
How old are you?
I'm 25, man.
Oh, we're the same age. Okay, so yeah,
Nice.
I mean, we were probably there opening day because that
I
was,
was there opening day, man. I
yep.
was freaking out because
Wow.
Spider-Man's always been one of my favorite
Yep.
superheroes.
Yep.
So
I got the logo tattooed on my right arm, so I'm a big Spider-Man.
nice,
So
nice.
You've got Spider-Man and Batman
I
tattooed
do.
on you?
I do. I see. That's why I loved Ace's little thing last week.
It's
Is the DC Marvel thing? Who gives a crap? Love them both. It's comic books.
Yeah, man. It's funny because Spider-Man and Batman are my two favorite superheroes.
There we
So
are.
I'm slowly learning that I have more in common with like all the B team than I do like the main core group of the Schmoes.
I,
Like
I yeah,
you're
yeah.
throwing stuff out, and I feel like we're the exact same person. The 2006 slideshow, Copster had a bunch of pictures, and I was like, yeah, he lived the exact same life I did. And I have nothing in common with like those stand-up comedians and the people that are on FX Movie Download, and I mean everything that they do. I realize that I have nothing in common with them, but I have everything in common with you guys.
Yeah, they've been at it. They've been at it for a longer time, and we're just kind of like jumping into it, kind of just fans getting into the action kind of thing. But
Exactly.
uh, but Copster was a stud, man. He was a stud in 2006. I was very much not. So
We were juniors in high school, right? Sophomores, juniors?
sophomore.
Yeah. Okay.
Yeah, yeah, sophomore year, I was 115 pounds.
Really? Oh, how tall are you?
I was a tiny, tiny, skinny little kid, man.
Yikes.
I'm like 5'8". I'm a small dude.
Okay, yeah, I'm 5'9", but I think I weighed a lot more than 115 pounds in high school. But, so
No, I was
no
just kidding.
football for you, right?
No, no, no. I was a swimmer my whole life, man. I've been swimming competitively for a long time. I actually swam freshman year at Arizona State, which was crazy because it's D1, and I'm a 5'8", little Latino kid.
Right.
And these, swimmers in D1 are like at least 6'4", 6'5",
I mean,
if
they all
not
look
like
like
6'8".
mutants. I mean, their bodies can be like Michael Phelps. Like his body was
Yeah,
ridiculous.
yeah, they're all like basketball, like super big, like 6'4" and up, dude. I've seen guys who are 6'9", 6'10" that I've raced.
Yeah,
But
I
yeah,
was
man.
20. I was 27 with two kids already and married in 2006. So let's just skip it. Move on.
I thought you were gonna say right now.
No, no,
That's cool, man.
no. My birthday's on Tuesday, so I'll be
Nice, happy birthday,
30. I'll
man.
be 37. Thanks, man. No problem.
So
That's good though, man. I mean, wife and kids, that's probably something I'm not gonna get till I'm maybe 40. So
Hell,
is
I'm
that
37. I'm still really not there yet.
is that by choice, Ace, or is that just you
that's
just
me. That's me being the shadow of Ken Knapsack, man.
There you go.
yeah?
I am his shadow. We've had long conversations about how I'm like him, but younger.
Well, it's funny because apparently, as of last night, the fans think of you as a Hispanic Mark Ellis. Is that what was said last night?
Oh no, I think they said that I have like his same like emotive reactions because I have a lot of facial expressions, but that's just me doing like musical theater for the longest time ever. So I have like crazy expressions on my face that I can do.
Not
So
to be like too punny, but yeah, you are very animated, and it's
that is
very fitting.
that is a,
Yeah,
that is a perfect word, man. It's a
that's
perfect
good.
word to use.
Welcome to Schmoeville, that podcast that is all about your Schmoes Know programming, content, personalities. I've got Paul Wolfe here. What's up, buddy?
How you doing? What's going
I'm
on?
doing great. Maybe I should introduce myself. I'm Ryan Snelling, but maybe you guys already know that already. And you've also heard the voice of Ace Cabrera. What's up, buddy?
Hey, how's it going, guys?
Going fantastic. Today is very special. We've had Leanne on, Xander on, some Facebook admins, but for the first time ever, we're going to get a behind-the-scenes glimpse into what goes down on the Schmoes Know show. And I'm super excited. I'm sure that Schmoeville was super excited, especially after last night's episode. I mean, it was a big deal, but we'll get into that later. I'm really excited to peek behind the curtain now that you're here, Ace, but I'm excited to hear you as a fan. I can't wait to hear your take on just watching these Schmoedowns and everything. I'm assuming you watch all the same programming that we do, right? With Collider and everything.
Oh yeah, for sure, man.
Awesome. So I'm excited to hear both sides of that, and I just kind of want to start us off here. I know we probably have a ton of questions between Paul and I, but let's just start with. I feel like I don't know a lot about you, Ace.
Yeah.
So if you'll just give me like the cliff notes of who you are. You talked a little bit about it already, swimming in high school and all that, but just give me a brief rundown and include how you got involved with the Schmoes. I know you've probably told that a million times, but for those who don't know.
Yeah. So basically, I am Andres, and I was born in Phoenix, Arizona. No, I'm playing. Basically, yeah, man. It's funny. I came into the Schmoes being a big fan of it and all, but for me, my thing is like, my mom is Colombian, my dad is Mexican. I'm very proud of being Latino, and obviously you saw that in that little BTS segment.
Absolutely.
But yeah, I lived in border towns my whole life. So I grew up 1 foot in Mexico, 1 foot in the U.S. So I lived in Juarez for a while, which was interesting. But yeah, coming on to the show, man, I was a big fan of the show. I would watch it all the time. It's funny because I called into the first Schmoedown, and back when you can pick who you thought would win, and you would win a prize for it.
Uh-huh.
And I called in for the Makuga Bonnie round, and you could actually go back and watch that episode, and you can hear my voice calling in, and Christian being like, "All right, who you got in the Schmoedown, Bonnie or Makuga?" And I'm like, "Makuga's gonna crush," or something like that.
I heard JTE call in. I was listening to a past episode last week, and I heard JTE call in before he worked there too. That was really fun.
Yeah, but the whole Schmo story for me it starts at Kamikaze. I went to Kamikaze. I moved to LA, worked for a production company, which I'm currently inside the office right now, and they were saying, "Hey, we're gonna go to Kamikaze," and I'm like, "Yeah, let's do it." I get to see the Schmoes, so I'm gonna go meet the Schmoes at Kamikaze. Go over there, and I run into Copster. So basically, here's my thing, man.
Uh-huh.
I'm in the lobby of Kamikaze, and I'm getting my press pass because my company's a production company, so it's a television network, so we get press passes. And so do the Schmoes. The Schmoes get press passes too because they're doing a panel. And I'm in line, and right in front of me in line is Josh Makuga. And I'm freaking out. But I'm like,
it's just the wild man, Ace. It's no big deal.
Yeah, and I'm like, you know what? I'm not gonna say anything. I'm gonna play it cool. I can't. I don't know. I don't even know what to say. And then he gets his pass. I get my pass, and then everyone starts coming in. I see Finntock. I see JTE. I see Alicia. I see Tiffany. I see Christian, Mark, Copster, Cody, and then all of a sudden I'm just like, man, I gotta say something. I mean, I'm going through their panel right now, and then I look at the group and I say, all right, who seems like the nicest person and who's not going to shoot me down as soon as I go up to them? And
can I guess who that would be?
Yeah,
like
yeah.
If I was in your instance, I think I would approach probably one of the ladies, either Tiffany or Alicia first. Actually.
Ooh, yeah. So I could pass out? No, thank you. Definitely not, man. I approached Copster.
Okay.
Copster was the one guy I was like, he seems nice. I'm going to talk to Copster and be like, hey, I'm here to watch you guys' panel. So he's like, oh, great, let me introduce you to everybody. And he introduced me to everyone. And I talked to Christian for a little bit, and we were walking to the panel. And I'm walking to the panel with the entire Schmoes crew, which is surreal to me. And, yeah, we had a great conversation. talked to them for a while, talked to JTE, Finntock, and Josh and all that, and it was such a fun panel, man. It was a really good time, and then from there, after the panel ended, I was the most nervous person actually for me to meet. I don't know if you guys can guess that, and for me, like the most intimidating of the group.
The most intimidating. I don't
Yeah,
know.
I was the most intimidated by this person. I was like, I can approach everyone, but this one, I was like, I don't know what I'm gonna say.
Paul, who do you think it is? I have no idea.
I'm just gonna say Christian.
Nope, it's Mr. Ken Knapsaw.
Huh?
Really?
Huh.
Yeah, he's this guy, man. I was like, I'm gonna go up to Ken, and this is nerve-wracking. And I went up to Ken, and I was like, hey Ken, introduce myself, and I said, if you ever need any help, I just moved to LA. I would love to be a part of your guys' crew, you know. And then he shakes my hand. He's like, yeah, sure. And he just walks away. And I said to myself, well, I'm never going to be a part of the Schmoes ever. So, ironically enough, Ken was the one who brought me onto the show because he remembered me. And he's the one who told Copster to reach out to me to be an intern for the show. And sure enough, that's how I got on the show, man.
And that was the winter of last year, or as like 2015, or excuse me, 2014 going into 2015. Is that right?
Correct. Yeah, 2014 going into 2015. Yeah,
Gotcha.
for sure. But you know what's even crazier is before this at my job, we do for my production company, we have a ton of hosts come in all over LA. And sure enough, my first or second week here, we have freaking Tiffany Smith. Tiffany Smith comes into the office, and I'm freaking out. This is like my second week in LA, and it's freaking Tiffany Smith in the office, and I'm like, oh, this is insane. So I after like 2 hours, I muster up the strength to go up and talk to her and introduce myself, and tell her I'm a fan of the show and I'm a fan of DC All Access and all that. And I do, and ironically enough, back, a few weeks after that, I go to Kamikaze, and she's the one person I knew from the crew. So she kind of recognized me and remembered me from all that. So that's always like the funny part of the whole thing, because the person I was most nervous to meet was the first person I met. So
Right. Well, we got it out of the way. I mean, that's good. It probably broke your nerves a little bit too.
yeah, for sure. But yeah, man, that's how I met him at Kamikaze, and then became part of the crew, and it was started from there.
It's really funny to hear the people that were on the show. Like, there was a moment when you were really nervous to meet these people. Like,
Yeah.
they were just people you watched on TV all the time. And Paul and I have had that moment too. I mean, it's really weird. It's like when I met Ellis at the end of January. I went to go see him in Nashville, and he was on my podcast, and I've told that story a million times. But yeah, there are moments where, like, it's just no matter who it is, it's not even necessarily because it's Mark Ellis or Christian Harloff. I think if you just see anybody every day of your life and you finally get to meet them in person, it's going to be very jarring no matter who it is. So it's very interesting to hear. So I think, Paul, you got a little segment thing you want to do here. I love that story, by the way.
Yeah, so okay, so what I did originally is trying to get guests on the show, familiar with the show, and got some of the admins, got Xander, got Leanne, and I thought that was cool. A lot of people enjoyed it. A lot of people got a voice to the names on Schmoeville, and I wanted to kind of up the ante. And I know JTE was trying to get on the show, and the time just didn't work out. So I wanted to reach out to another Schmo, and Ace definitely was all gung-ho for it and was ready to go. So I was very much appreciative of him agreeing to this. So it's kind of cool having somebody that's been there, that's done that. And so what I was planning on doing is going to kind of turn the camera away from the main tables and the Wanger table and look at what goes on behind the scenes. So this segment I want to kind of call this is my first time with a Schmo.
Kinky.
Ooh.
So we have a couple questions here. By a couple, I mean, okay. All right, so when you first originally got onto the show to work on it, what was your initial position? What were you doing first?
Came onto the show, we were at the original AfterBuzz studio. I was an intern, man, so basically anything the crew needed, I did, whether it was getting drinks, setting up the set, tearing down the set, moving stuff around, getting people ready, getting guests ready, bringing guests in, taking guests out, introducing people to the studio, giving people an area of where they're going to be, where they're going to sit, what time we're sitting, what time is each segment, help Ken with whatever he needed, help JTE when he was engineering with whatever he needed. So basically, I'm just doing all like the running around, and basically in LA, it's kind of like the PA stuff, the production assistant thing, which is what I did for a living, which is why I kind of was used to it, and it wasn't like a big deal for me. It was something that I was like, yeah, I do this all the time. At work, I like move people's cars and like get people coffee all the time. It's not a huge deal for me. So yeah, basically I'm just making sure the producer, which was Ken or now Miri, and Christian are taken care of. Everything is set on their end. So yeah, that's kind of what I do, and I do it currently now too.
My next question: How has your position kind of evolved since that point? I know now you're on air, now that you're doing segments. I mean, is that kind of where the evolution of you right now are going? I mean, I'm seeing a lot more of you. So is that kind of where we're seeing you go?
I honestly have no clue, man. I have no idea. But one thing I can say is that I'm still, doing all the jumping around and moving around, and grabbing people drinks and making sure they're good and making sure everyone's in their seats and cameras and lights and all that. But I mean, to be honest, man, Copster does a ton of work, and he's kind of like steering the ship on all that. And now that we have RB3, it's kind of interesting because he's like the new guy, so it's my job to kind of teach him the ropes and all that. So I'm starting to pass along a little bit of my responsibilities, but for the most part, it stays pretty much consistent. But RB3 and Copster, and obviously, but Cody's like, he's on a different level. He's engineer now. But all of them behind the scenes are just, they kill it so much that we work so well together because of that.
I was going to say, let's see how long we can go without mentioning Cody, because his name had not been brought up yet at all. And I was like, I think we might go this entire podcast without bringing him up.
Cody is a warrior, man. He's a freaking trooper. He's like a military general, he's like a captain of the sea steering the ship. He's making sure everything works and everything's okay, and it's only him. Like, it's all him. So it's crazy how much he does too. And obviously, like I said before, Copster is also doing that as well, as far as on our part. So
for sure.
All right, so you kind of give a little background on what you do. Now, can you describe like a typical week, or you might have already done a little bit about that, but prepping for the actual Schmoes Know show itself, like how does it first come about? I mean, and then how does it lead us up to right before you start filming? What is a typical week kind of like with you guys behind the scenes?
Yeah, we so basically we get there and we want to set up the cameras because the cameras are set up for Collider. So for Collider Movie Talk, which I'm assuming you guys all watch as well.
Yeah.
We set up. They're all set up. Cameras and lights are set up for Collider. So what we do is we have to switch it over for cameras and lights for Schmoes because it's a completely different setup. So Copster and I and RB3 and Cody as well, we all hands on deck, start moving every camera, moving all the plugs, moving all the lights, and then as far as after that, we prepare all the segments that we want to do, whether it's helping Cody with pictures or setting up the live stream, making sure the description in the video is set or all the YouTube settings are set and all that. And then we have a production meeting or a team meeting half an hour before the show starts. And that's Miri and Christian lead that. And they just kind of go through the rundown, and we each have rundowns to make sure we know exactly what time the breaks are. We know exactly what's going on as far as the segments that we have going on. But yeah, before the show, we do that. And obviously, if you go inside Christian's and Mark's office, and Riley's in there as well, there's like a party going on in there almost every time. 2 weeks ago they had pizza. And, I walk in, and Tiffany's on her laptop on the floor, and Christian's playing music, and he's playing, like, old-school rap music in the background. And usually that's when we walk in there with a camera and just try to make a segment up for the podcast channel, for the SK podcast channel. But yeah, behind these, it's a lot of fun, man. It's cool because you see a mesh of the Collider crew mixed with the Schmoes crew. So you see, people like Wendy, who's a sweetheart. She's a great, hardworking girl. Perry, um, Schnapp sometimes is around there, and a lot of the other Collider crews that are behind the scenes as well are all just kind of in their mesh. So we hang out with them too. We have good conversations, and if we ever have enough time before the show, we can chill with them and hang out with them, and it's cool. Like it's all like one cool, cohesive, happy family, which is awesome.
It's getting harder to figure out where the Schmoes Know crew ends and where Collider begins, especially when like you had the announcement this week because now Cody is doing Collider stuff now too, right?
Yeah. Cody Hall officially a part of the Collider crew, man. That's so exciting. Yeah, Collider's awesome, man. I love the people there. Dennis, Perry, Wendy, like I said before, they're all really freaking cool people. And Riley's obviously already there as well. So it's super cool to go in there and just be friendly with everyone and know that everyone's cool with you and you don't have to worry about like the whole like, are we cool, are we not cool? But we're all just like one family, and it's always awesome to see them when you get in there.
What's been the best thing about that transition to Collider? Like, what advantages do you have now that you're in that studio?
A lot of that is Mark and Christian, man. They have their own creative space. Like they have their own place where they can organize their Collider show and their Schmoedown and all the Collider stuff that needs to be done. And at the same time, they don't have to worry about jumping ship and rushing over to another studio to try and squeeze in some time for the show. They can just, stay there and work on what they need to do for the Schmo show. And it's great for them, man. And for us, on our part, we don't have to worry about switching out with any other shows. We can just jump right in, and it's super smooth. And usually Collider is not recording anything too late in the afternoon. So we have time to set up, and we have time to get everything ready. And we don't have to worry about, saying, Collider is recording their new segment that we have to wait for them to get out. It's like we don't have to. We can just set up, and it's super smooth and easy, and everyone in the Collider crew is super helpful. So, yeah, it's great, man. It's super great.
So during that week, I kind of, you see everybody behind the scenes, you work with them, and I want to kind of put it on you to give me a Schmo that's on camera. So you see them during the week, and then you see them on the show. Who, with that group, is most like their on-air persona?
All right, so I'm going to go with the person I see the most, and that is JTE.
All right.
JTE and I are neighbors, man. We're neighbors. He literally lives 3 doors down from me, or 3 houses down, I guess you could say, from me. And it's funny because a buddy of mine used to listen to our little podcast run that JTE and I had, which is JTE Movie Things or Movie News. And we had like a 4-episode arc where it was me and JTE talking about the news. And he was like, does he really mispronounce all that? Does JT really mispronounce that much? Does JT really not know about that? And I'm like, yeah, he really does. Like, that's just JT's character, right? And it's like, nope, that's not JT's character. That's JTE.
I often wondered about that, so that's really cool. Now the opposite. Who do you think is, like, flips a switch and becomes a totally different person on camera than they're off camera?
Ooh, that's a tough one. You'd be just how similar everyone is on camera, off camera. But if I had to pick one, I would probably have to say Finntock, Tom Dagnino, who's a buddy of mine. I'm telling you, man, this guy is the coolest guy you'll meet. He's such a cool, down-to-earth guy, man. He's one of those guys you meet where you're like, I don't know if he's going to be cool or if he's going to just not want to talk to me. But he's one of those guys you can go up to and he will have like a lengthy hour-and-a-half conversation with you because he's actually interested in getting to know you. So he's one of those guys who's super down-to-earth, super friendly guy. And on camera you may see him like as a villain or as like, the interrogator or the one who starts the problems. But he's like one of the friendliest dudes you will ever meet.
what do you consider as kind of the easiest part of your job throughout the Schmoes experience?
It's tough because I feel like nothing is too, insane.
Sure.
I would say I think the easiest part of my job is working with my crew, man. Copster, Cody, and RB3 and Mary, they're like so easy to work with. And that may be like, you may say that's a cop-out answer, but you'd be surprised, especially in Los Angeles and especially in production, how difficult it can be with certain crews,
Oh, sure.
with people you might not be able to get along with. So working with them is a breeze because they make it so easy to, and people like Mark and Christian too, who are super down to earth and super nice guys who have no over the top diva personalities whatsoever, and they make it a breeze, man. They make it a breeze to work there.
Awesome.
So.
All right, and the opposite side of things, what was something that was like given to you to handle that you felt is like kind of the hardest thing you had to do?
I can stretch one. So there was one, I remember a while back, we had Alicia, Miri, and Sasha had their ladies' night, the Schmoes Ladies' Night. And it was Alicia, Miri, and Sasha, and it was just them three. And JTE. There was no Copster, there was no Cody, there was no Christian, there was no Mark, there was no Ken. So it's me and JTE, and then the three ladies at the table. And it's fine because they're great to work with, but the hard part of that show was the fact that we have like 4 guests lined up. So that was a little tough for me because what I had to do was make sure every guest would come in, know exactly where they're going to be, exactly where they're going to park, bring them in, have them sit down, have them wait, take one guest off the show, put another guest on the show, as I would exit with the other guest, I would come back with another one. It was wild, man. It was definitely wild, and Alicia was, killing it. She was killing it because she was leading everything. She was like directing me, giving me messages, telling me who was coming in, who was not coming in, because it's not like I have the information of these guests. I don't know what time they're coming in, but she does, and she would do it while she was on the show. So she's telling me all this. She's like, this so-and-so is here. They're parking, bring him in, so-and-so is coming out. And she's leading me through all this information while she's talking about movies. And she was just phenomenal that day, But that was a little tough, man, bringing all those guests in when it was just me and I had no Cody and Copster who help a lot. So, and JT was too busy, helping out with engineering. But even JT would help me out too. He would tell me, recommendations on where to have the guests be and where to have them sit and where to have the cameras be and all that. But yeah, that was one show, but it was fun because I got to do something, challenging and exciting. And, having Alicia lead the show was really cool because she showed so much to me. I was like, wow, Alicia's like insane. She's really freaking strong to do all that.
We come to, the timeline, if you will. We got up to last week where we kind of touched upon it, the DC Marvel discussion on the Schmoes Know show, and you came out and had a really good, it seemed like everybody that, at least that I saw, loved everything you said about it. I myself was one of them. How did that come about? Was that like an impromptu thing? Was that like you just like signaled Christian and you walked up and did it? Or was that kind of like a planned thing when you went up and talked about that?
Yeah, no, for sure. It definitely was not planned at all, and I definitely did not signal Christian. I would not do that. No, it was me being very expressive, as I usually am. So behind the scenes, it's hard for me to hide my emotions when they're talking about certain topics. So if they say something that I don't agree with, you see me freaking out in the background. So Christian must have seen me shaking my head or freaking out, like last night with Pacific Rim. When he was talking about that, and I was just losing my mind, so that's why he brought me on to react to it. But no, that was definitely impromptu. Comic book movies and comic books in general are, my passion and my, as Alicia would say, my jam. And it's a huge passion of mine. And all the DC stuff and the Warner Brothers stuff and the Marvel stuff is, all where my head is like submerged in.
That's good to know. I was just kind of wondering about that. And then the last one I have is that we did see that behind the scenes question Q&A session with you in Spanish doing all that. That was absolutely hilarious. Are we going to see any more of that in the future?
We have to see more of that, man. Yeah. So it's so funny because my plan was to do all the entire Schmoes crew in one video, and Copser was the one who was like, dude, no, we can run this and do a few every week and keep it like as an ongoing segment and have like different bits to it. So yeah, Copser is the one who's a mastermind, man. He's the one who's gave me the idea to keep doing it every week or every other week and keep it as an ongoing segment. So
Well, hey, that's all the questions I have for
all
the little segment
good.
there. So that's let's move on to our next segment. What do we have there, Snelling?
Yeah, so let's take a break from the questions, but there's a lot more to come from Ace for sure. But we got to get to these Schmoedowns, okay? And, I mean, last week we had no idea what to expect, Paul, and I can't wait to hear what Ace has to say about this too. But Jeff Snyder versus El Mayimbe was last week, okay? And we didn't really have a lot to say about it. We weren't really familiar with Snyder and whatever. But I remember me and you watched it later that night, and you texted me, and I don't remember the exact text, but it was pretty much just a frowny face, and you were talking about the Schmoedown, and you were not excited about it at all. So I just didn't really even want to watch it because I was like, thanks for the spoilers, I don't need to watch it anymore. And then I looked at the timestamp on the YouTube video, and usually we get about 30 minutes of quality Schmoedown, and this one I think was around like 17 minutes, maybe like around
21.
around the 20-minute mark. So when I saw that, I just kind of had a feeling this is not gonna be very good. We saw this Schmoedown. I don't think anybody was excited about it, and I don't know. I think it's definitely the worst one of this little season of Phase 6 here. I don't know. What do you think about it, Paul?
Well, you kind of nailed it right on the head. I sent that like non-spoilerish type of comment to you, and I'm like, because I did the same exact thing. I saw how many minutes it was. I'm like, oh no, 21 minutes, something happens, and lo and behold, I honestly, the first thing I did is I went to the end and looked. I wanted to get spoiled, so I saw it and I went,
What?
oh no, I did. But then I saw the rest of the thing. I saw the whole thing, but I'm like, when I saw the timestamp, I went, uh-oh, and went through it, and I just, like I said, it was kind of a letdown. I thought there was going to be more coming out of Umberto, but it really he really got stumped on a lot of things. And you again, Stelling, you did it again. You did the whole brain fart thing, relating it to what Campia did. That's exactly what happened, man. It was the same thing. Same thing happened. Umberto just did not come up with the answers, and Snyder, be it you know controversial ending, going with that multiple choice at the end in that round or not, he strategized and he got it, and he got the win despite everybody's opinion of the man. He played it. He played the game, and that's what it was all about. And so I think we now have a new heel in the Schmoedown. I mean, Tom kind of, Finnstock kind of is to me one of the, well, notwithstanding JTE now, but we had Finnstock as the number one villain of the group, everyone throwing stuff at him and booing. But with Snyder, the Schmoeville was not a very big fan of his, and it kind of the way he ended the show with the Schmoedown, it ended with him strategizing where Umberto couldn't come back, and it rubbed a lot of people the wrong way. But I'm going to give him props. He played the game, and he did it well. Despite we had Umberto winning, it again had the outcome nobody really wanted to see. But like you said, the brain fart happened, and it just wound up in his favor.
It was just heartbreaking to watch because, going in, like I said, we weren't a fan of Snyder, so we're pretty much there for El Mayimbe, and to just see him fall apart and lose based on just dumb mistakes, it was pretty heartbreaking. Ace, how do you feel about this Schmoedown?
Yeah, it was definitely disappointing, man. I definitely wanted to see a lot more from Humberto. But yeah, I mean, if anything, it proved that Schneider is definitely a contender for sure. I know Christian definitely thinks he's up there as far as contention for the title. So it was a tough to see for sure, man.
when certain content, like, or when a program, I keep calling them programs, I feel like I'm in the 50s or something, but when you release a program on Collider or Schmoes Know and it doesn't exactly go the way that they were expecting, or the fan reaction isn't so positive. Another instance would be the movie talk where Hal Rudnick and Sam Levine were on. That was another, what I thought, a disaster show. When something like that happens, what's the conversation behind the scenes? Like, do you ever hear, like, if Christian regrets having people on certain shows, or does he ever decide that that's never going to happen again? Like, what's the conversation after that? Or does he defend the people that he puts out there, like Jeff Snyder?
Yeah. For the most part, he definitely defends them, man. Most, if not all, these people we work with, we know on a personal level. So we
Absolutely.
know that if the fans aren't appreciative of them, or if they don't appreciate them, or get them, I guess you could say, he knows that it either they'll warm up to them, it'll take some time, or maybe they're just, what, as Christian would like to say, ball bags. Maybe they just don't understand what's going on and they just want to hate. So, but if it's a disaster of a show, it happens, man. It's one of those things where this is the kind of area or workplace where, where it's YouTube, where it's videos, where it's stuff like Movie Talk and stuff like Schmoes. We're allowed to mess up. We're allowed to fall down every once in a while. And if it doesn't
Absolutely.
work, then it doesn't work. We can try a different strategy the following week.
And it's like, as a fan, you kind of forget that part of it, right? Because technically they can even just do whatever they want. Like, they don't have to care at all if the fans are happy, because at the end of the day, they're just doing what they want to do, and they're accomplishing that. But and even as a content creator myself, I know that, like, there's a level of, like, I don't really need you to care or need you to like every single thing that I put out, because as long as I'm doing what I'm doing, that's really all that matters. And Christian likes to point out, you don't have to watch. And I mean, you're not going to like everything, and you're not going to please everybody. So I definitely understand that for sure. Paul, did you have anything else to say about that Schmoedown before we do a little preview of today's?
Not at all. Let's do today's.
We got Merle versus Mance, is that right?
We do, Mance versus Merle. Yes.
So let's see, I voted Merle to beat Campia, and then did I choose Mance over Roca?
Yeah,
I think I did.
yes.
I think I did.
We were both in agreement on that last one.
Okay, so now we've got two Titans, but I can't believe I'm saying this, but I kind of think there's an obvious choice, and I'm going with Merle, man. I think he's gonna kill it today. What do you think?
Yes, absolutely. Well, here's the reason. I was back and forth. The Schmoeville had a poll, and I actually had Mance. I put Mance down first, because hearing that they're going to put the movie dates as spinning on the wheel there. However, I went in and watched the Schmoes show, and there was, I forget who said it, but Mance only won against Roca because of the Bespin question. So he kind of lucked out there. And then we've got Merle, who's movie fights champ, I believe is what I heard.
Yeah.
And I think that's the correct title. So we have a champion going into another realm. So it's almost like Mance is facing the movie fights version of Riley almost. So we do have, to me, a definitive winner here with Merle. I think he's going to take it because, again, Mance got lucky. And, again, it could be the spin of the wheel. We could be dead wrong. He could get movie dates on that one. But, there's, I don't know how many divisions of there on the wheel there, but you never know. But I do think Merle has it just on the pure the knowledge he has. I've been catching up on a lot of the movie fights too. I've been watching that for a good while as well, prior to this point in my experience with everybody. But he knows his stuff, and him on that computer, always looking stuff up for everybody, fact checking. He's got it, and I just think he's gonna kind of pull it out.
Ace, do you agree?
What's funny, man? Scott Mance is a friend of mine, and I love Scott, man. Scott, he's one of those guys who, like, brightens up the world no matter where he is, or he brightens up the room. And Tom Dagnino said it best, man. He said, if there was more Scott Mances in the world would be a better place. But I gotta agree, man. Dan Murrell is a beast. Yeah, but Dan Murrell is a beast, man. That guy, I think he's the toughest challenger that Riley is going to have, man. He knows his stuff. I mean, obviously I know because I went against him in the Schmoedown when it was the team challenge, when it was the B team versus Riley and Dan. And I don't see many people being able to beat this guy. He's a tough guy to beat.
How difficult is it to actually, like, I feel like the Schmoedown would be just a lot of fun, and, you know, it's kind of a luck of the draw. Like, I would probably have an easy time if I got certain categories on the wheel. I might have I have certain strengths and weaknesses. What's it actually like being put on the stage? Is it harder than it looks?
It is much harder than it looks, man. Once you're up there and you're in the bright lights and you're asked a question, and the thing about the Schmoedown, man, is one of those things where you don't know what kind of question it's going to be. So it could be a movie from way before your time, a movie that you never saw, a movie you've never heard of, or it could be something that you love and you care for. But it's one of those things where you just don't know, and it freaks you out. And obviously, if you watch our B team versus champion team Schmoedown, we struggled, and I struggled quite a bit. I got one question, Cody got one question, and then Copster the rest of the way. But it's one of those things where it's much harder than it looks because you just never know what kind of movie they're going to pull out.
I don't know what you think about this, Paul, but I certainly think that age is probably one of the best advantages. Because, I mean, like I said, we're the same age, Ace, so we've probably seen a ton of movies, but there are also a ton of movies we haven't seen. Am I right?
Yeah. Sorry, go ahead.
No, I'm sorry. I was just going to say that is, in my opinion, the biggest X factor is age. Because honestly, some of these movies they pull out, they're like the 1987 classic, and I'm like, I wasn't born. Or in 1982, I'm just like, I'm sorry, man, but you know, I was 8 years old when I saw The Phantom Menace. You know,
exactly.
I didn't see, you know, Star Wars in theaters. I didn't see it, you know, growing up like that. You know, it's one of those things where they kind of forget that. They're like, you should know this. And I'm like, I know I should, but you watched this as a kid. I didn't. So
yeah, we have to spend a lot of our lives. Me and Ace, we have to spend a lot of our lives like going back and watching the movies that everyone else around us is talking about. So, Paul, do you agree that age is probably the greatest factor?
I would, but then you have the Umbertos, the Schneps kind of tripping up a little bit, and they're a little older. So again, it's the spin of the wheel. I really do think that that's part of it. But I do feel that it does have to do a lot with age as well. Because again, you know, like you guys just said, I mean, you just said you were 8 when The Phantom Menace came out. I had just turned 20. So yeah, it definitely had a definite impact on that. Absolutely.
Paul's old.
Shut up.
Is there anything else that we want to say about the Schmoedown, or do you want to get into sort of recapping last night's episode, Paul?
Let's do the recap. We're good to go.
There's a lot to talk about. I've got 3 major topics here. Actually, no. Let me backtrack. Okay. Before we get into the Schmoes Know recap, I have a hard-hitting question for you. I'm really hoping, I know you're an honest guy, I think you're ready to blurb about some stuff. I need to know something concrete about anything involving Whispergate. There are people in the comment section, every time we put out an episode, they're talking about Whispergate still, and I think it was even mentioned on last night's episode. What do you have on Whispergate?
Whisper what?
Whispergate.
Good answer. Let's move on.
I'm sorry, I don't know what that is, man. I'm sorry.
Oh my God! Did I just come out of the gate with that tough of a question?
What question?
You're kidding me. You can't answer it, can you?
I honestly, I don't know what that is, man. What's that?
I hate you so much. What's the point of telling us to ask any question we want, and I come out of the gate with the one thing that can't be answered? You're killing it.
I love this.
Is that the Nixon? Is that the Nixon thing? Is that like Watergate?
God, I hate you. Oh my God. Schmoeville, we're never gonna get anything concrete about Whispergate. Okay, let's just give up. Okay, let's just give up. Let's go. All right, let's go into the recap. You guys can suck it. No, let's go into the recap. So, I mean, there's a few things that I'd like to touch on. The $3,000 discussion was hilarious, by the way. Thanks for that exclusive, by the way, Christian. I don't know if we're gonna get away with that because I feel like I'm like a hard-hitting journalist now, aside from that stupid question I just asked Ace. Because last night I asked Christian if Finntock was truly upset, and he said no comment. So I feel like he thinks he's talking to the press when I'm gonna ask those type of questions now, and he's not gonna give me the goods. But Ace, is this something that you can talk about? Finntock and JTE? God, I hope so.
Yeah, yeah. I actually know these guys really well, man. I've been on Box Office Breakdown quite a few times with Sarah, JT, and Tom. So I probably know these guys the most out of the crew. Yeah, there's a civil war in the air, man. It's pretty heartbreaking. It's pretty heartbreaking.
Schmoeville has, immediately they were coming out with great memes and great pictures online, and it seems like a lot of people are having fun with it. But I went back and watched this entire segment, and it is very clear that this is one of the parts. Christian kind of hyped it up, and I feel like he knew what he was doing, kind of breaking the story, and you could see that little like shit-eating grin he had the entire time. He knew what he was doing. But the fact of the matter is, I feel like that this is not at all a produced portion of last night's show. This was very real. You could see Tom like his heart breaking, and JTE was trying to stop Christian from bringing it up, and the entire time that they were talking about it, JTE was twiddling his thumbs. This is very real, correct?
Yes, it is, man. Yeah, and it's tough to watch for sure because you see two guys who are actually really good friends. They actually hang out on the weekends and play basketball on the weekends, and have a really good friendship. They're almost probably best friends. It's tough to watch, man, because that was a tough move that JT pulled off, man. That's something that I didn't know about, and something that I don't think anyone knew about, and he just said it live on the show.
Do you blame Christian at all, or do you blame JT?
I don't blame Christian. I blame JT a little bit. I mean, JT is a good buddy of mine, but that's cold, man. That's just cold.
Well, Paul is from the Cleveland area. Paul is from the Cleveland area, so he's very familiar with things like this.
Oh, LeBron James.
Yeah. So So here's my devil and angel. Like I always bring up. I always Snelling's already told me this before. Is I always try to find good in things, and I hear me out here. Okay, so I completely related this to the WWE again, and Knapsack and Christian probably will get this, the barbershop window when the Rockers broke up, or the Mega Powers exploding. I felt like that was happening in front of me, and Christian being the catalyst to try to get it out there. But yeah, when they said the same thing with LeBron, with him going from Cleveland to Miami, the issue I had though, well, first of all, Mark, it was 7 years, and then he left, not 5. But see how painful that was. Here's the thing: it hurt. It really did. It hurt when that happened, and I have a feeling that's exactly what Tom feels now. However, bringing in this part of it, what is the main reason for anybody going into a professional sport? They want to win the championship. And so he came up with the idea, poor decision, by the way, pun intended, being on TV and doing that, but he chose to go and went to another team to win a title, because that's really what you're there to do. So I kind of am on Sasha's side when hearing JT doing that. He wants to win, and who else better to go with than Clarke? So I don't fault him for that. But here's the thing, though: what's the ending to the LeBron story? LeBron eventually came back, and look where we are now. We haven't lost in the playoffs. We've been there 2 years in a row. So we're at that point now where LeBron has left and he's joined a new team, allegedly, because again, we still don't know. Clarke had that lips of sealed gif So we don't truly know, but of course, the body language, you can't really watch that segment on a podcast or listen to it on a podcast. You have to see it live. His arms crossed,
Absolutely.
his eyes were down. He wasn't looking at Tom at all. So yeah, definitely a Benedict Arnold, Shawn Michaels type of backstab, if you will, being out in the open and in a public forum like that with thousands of viewers watching live, and tens of thousands probably watching that segment on the recording on YouTube. So, I mean, I see JTE's reasoning to do it, but it was a poor execution.
It's one of those things like, Ace brought up Civil War. It's kind of like going into that movie, I was like, in actual life, I would be Team Iron Man, but because it's a Captain America movie and I love that character and he's the main character, I'm on his side for the sake of the film. It's kind of like that, where if it was me, I would probably pull something similar to what JTE did. So I don't know if I'd go about it the exact same way. I might have actually spoken to Finntock before making that kind of decision. But now that I've seen it unfold, I'm actually Team Finntock. Only because I actually, again, we sometimes don't give him the credit he deserves. I think he is a good partner. Yes, they did not win the title, and I know that was probably heartbreaking for JTE. But part of me is like, I feel like Team B.O.B could be back in that situation. So if they had stuck together, I feel like they have another shot at the title, right?
How much sweeter would it be? How much sweeter would it be if JTE won the championship with his best friend Tom Dagnino, Finntock?
For sure.
That's the heart trying again. They probably had a quicker time to get to the championship since they were in the final round. And like you just said, they made it to the finals. And it's heartbreaking, man. It's heartbreaking to see JTE just choose a different partner like that, as if everything's gonna be okay. That's cold, man. That's tough.
And you could tell that I think Finntock even mumbled when Christian revealed that it was Clarke. You can hear Finntock say to JTE, "You chose the person I'm going up against." Yeah. And the other point that was brought up was that Finntock took it like a champ. Like, he was being very reserved. They both, let's face it, they both did not want to have that conversation. That sucked for both of them. And it's funny because they never let go of it. Like, until the very end of last night's show, they were still bringing that up. So it was probably very hard for them to sit there for an hour, sitting next to each other like that. But I don't know, man. I mean, you could just see the heartbreak. He really took it. I mean, in my opinion, he took it well, but who knows what it's actually like behind the scenes. What happened after last night's show between those two?
Yeah, man. It's crazy because I was talking about Tom earlier, and I had a good conversation with Tom afterwards. It's yeah, man. He's a little thrown off by it, man. He's definitely thrown off by JT just going behind his back like that and picking Clarke over him, especially when it's someone he's going up against. Sure. So, and we don't even know the outcome of that yet. So, it's one of those things where Tom he's a competitive guy. You don't be deceived by his nonchalant attitude. He's a very competitive guy. So he was kind of hoping that he would get back to the championship with JT.
So if this is moving forward and JTE joins up with Clarke, who is someone that you would love to see Finntock join up with and potentially destroy JTE in a tag match?
That's a good question. Part of me wants to say Schnepp just because that'd be funny, but
the enemy of my enemy is my friend, something like
exactly.
that.
Exactly. Yeah. Dang, this is a good question. I don't know. Maybe a Finntock Campia team up, or maybe a Finntock Schnepp team up.
Oh, I got one.
Yeah.
How about Riley? Get Riley involved.
I like Campia or Riley. I think, yeah.
Bring in the champ to defend him.
Absolutely. Yeah. That'd be amazing. And I kind of feel like that's what would happen on Schmoes. Like, I feel like that's what we're gonna hear, is that Finntock teams up with the champion. I think Riley's the most realistic, but I wouldn't mind seeing Campia being thrown in the mix too. I didn't mean to bring down the tone of the show, guys.
Not at all, but hey, it wasn't our fault. That was blame JT on that one.
Oh man. All right, let's talk about. I mentioned before we got the exclusive last week on the story behind the $3,000 bet with Ellis, and there was a little bit more of an explanation last night from Christian. They went through it again, and it's funny because a lot of people were brought into this, and they started asking everyone the question, and then it came to like people were talking about their reputations being put on the line because that was a great question whether they do it for the Schmoes Know podcast YouTube channel. So I do want to hear what you all thought of that portion of the show, but first I want to hear Ace, how much money would it take to get you to lick that urinal?
It's so funny, man, because the whole time they were doing this, the entire time I was in the background, and the entire time I was like, hell no, hell no. If you're gonna get me to do something that disgusting, you're gonna have to pay me in the thousands. There's no way I'm doing it for hundreds. I'm saying over $10,000.
Over 10,000? Wow.
Yeah. Yes. I'm not like. It's funny because they said which urinal, and they're like that urinal, and I'm like hell no, especially not that urinal.
You missed an opportunity to do the over 9,000 joke, by the way.
Oh yeah, I did do that, huh?
That would have been perfect for you, Ace. Come on. Even I know that.
I know.
I missed it. Paul, did you say how much it would? Did we ask you last week how much it would take you to?
Yeah, and I said, well, I'm a teacher. I'll do anything, but yeah. So I didn't have an actual price, but I would definitely go in the tens of thousands, to be honest.
Yeah, I think it would be $1,000, and I can also like obviously this is predetermined. I'm gonna be able to bring some Listerine and have that there waiting for me. I think I would do it for $1,000, for sure.
Well, I can definitely tell you this, Mr. Makuga there, $250, and
Makuga.
will film it. And will film it. I mean, he's a dirty, dirty man. I've been watching some old episodes, and I tell you what, he's getting beer and alcohol sponsorship, and he's always talking about, women of the night, if you will, and all this other stuff that's just kind of.
He's got a girlfriend.
Dirty, dirty man. I mean, this is 2014 stuff I was watching too. I mean, okay. Oh my, so his reputation's preceding him. That is disgusting. $250. I mean, come on, that's and we'll film it.
The thing was, it was $250 for filming. I think he'd do it for $100 if you don't film it.
Well, that's what Mark said. Mark said $100, but not filming it. But I honestly,
that's what Mark said.
It has to be filmed. It has to be filmed. And kudos there to Sasha bringing out money. That was classic right there.
Yeah.
Makuga has no shame at all. Ace, I want you to make sure that this happens, okay? I'm sure people are already on it, but we want to see somebody do it on the Schmoes Know podcast channel, all right? So make it happen.
Oh, I'm sure it's going to happen, man, for sure.
That's so gross.
It is.
Let's close this out here with Ace. Your very first segment on the show was finally brought out, and I, for one, really enjoyed it. Can we maybe let's talk about that real quick? And where
Absolutely.
did that originate? Like, how long ago was this idea pitched, and who pitched it, and did it evolve from there? Well, like, what did it start out as, and how did it evolve to what we saw yesterday?
Yeah, this is definitely coming from my head. So my thing was I wanted to pitch a segment, something short, but I wanted to do something very much catered towards something I'm an expert in, or I consider myself an expert in, that they might not be, because if I say comic book movies, I'm pretty much saying what they talk about on a weekly basis, if not a daily basis, which Collider Movie Talk and all that. So being a comic book, hardcore fan and expert isn't really something unique anymore. So my idea was I want to do an animated segment that allows me to not only bring in animations from the past, but animations that are coming up, animations you may have missed, animated series that are you can watch on Netflix and enjoy, or you can watch on Hulu. I know Christian wants me to talk about some animes that I want to do, but basically it's me telling you about some animated stuff that is just as well done, if not even better than some of the movies we're talking about. Like some of these movies and some of these animated series that I'm going to be talking about in the future are works of art, like true storytelling masterpieces. Something that I'm probably going to be talking about in the future is Avatar: The Last Airbender, which is something that some people may have seen, but other people may have missed, and it's one of those series you cannot miss. Or a follow-up like Legend of Korra, or a DC animated series, or another animated series you may have missed, or an animated movie that came out that you may have missed, or something that it's one of those creations and that is very much underappreciated, and it becomes kind of pushed under the rug as children's viewing kind of thing. Like, this is something for kids, and it's one of those things where it's like, no, this is just art for everyone, and you can enjoy it whether you're a kid or an adult. And if anything, you probably should enjoy it more as an adult. So yeah, that's kind of where it came from, and it's just an idea. We'll see how it goes, and if it's fun and if it's good and people enjoy it, then we'll keep doing it. If not, if people don't like it, then we'll stop doing it. But basically, I want to reach out a broader spectrum of films and animated stuff for people to watch.
I mean, why not, dude? I mean, the show is certainly starting to broaden its horizons, and you have something like Sasha's Indie Picks. I mean, it's just bringing in another element. I think we're excited to hear from you, just because now you're going to be on the show more with your segment, but also, again, it's just bringing in something fresh and new to people who might not have known about animation otherwise. So I think it's absolutely important.
Yeah, for sure, and I'm excited for it. It's one of those things where, this is animated stuff is one of the things that it's beautiful, it's artistic, and it's well told, exciting, engaging stuff. Like, I always pitch like Game of Thrones. Like, imagine something like Game of Thrones in an animated version. Like, that to me is some stuff that I'm bringing to the table. Stuff that's that good. It's that exciting, and that many people should be watching it.
No, and it was absolutely fabulous, and I cannot wait to see it. And I was just kind of in the back of my head thinking, how cool would it be if you had your own little segment on TV Talk, but because there's lots of animation on television now that are just getting glossed over because of all those high spectacle TV shows that are there. But we're going to get you on the Schmoes and see you there when doing the same thing. And then you're going to be covering not just TV, but it looks like you're also covering DVD, Blu-ray, TV. Yeah. You're going to do streaming. It seems like you're going to do all the facets. And I'm just looking forward to seeing more of that and seeing what you bring.
Thank you, man. I appreciate that.
Yeah.
This was before last night's Schmoes Know. That was what everyone was asking. Like, hey, make sure you ask him about anime and ask him about. Are you doing an anime podcast, by the way? Someone wanted to know that.
Yeah. So here's my thing. Anime is something that is so specific, and it's so foreign, I guess is the right word to use for a lot of people. It's a very foreign art form. Like, I was talking to Cops here about it because I'm trying to get him into it, but he's struggling to get into it. And I told him, I'm like, dude, anime, I can say one of those things, that it's not for everyone. It's one of those art forms that it's very drawn out, very, very, in-depth storytelling, where it's one of those things where if you want something like, oh, just get to the point, this is not for you. Anime doesn't just get to the point. Anime will immerse you into a story where you know every single detail about a character, where you know where their passions lie and where their heart and their mind lies. And it's anime is something that I'm super passionate about and that a lot of people love too, but it's something that not everyone knows about. So what I'm going to do coming hopefully either late this summer or early fall, but I'm going to do an anime, just all anime YouTube channel.
Okay.
So awesome. Yeah. I want to do a YouTube channel. It started off as a podcast idea, but I definitely want to, have some friends involved, and I decided to make it a YouTube channel. And I'm just going to talk about everything anime, whether it's past anime or current anime or anime you should check out, or old animes that we can reminisce on. Stuff like Dragon Ball Z, Cowboy Bebop, Ghost in the Shell, Sword Art Online. Animes that. Attack on Titan, obviously, because it's probably my favorite one. But I'm going to bring all that stuff out. I'm going to have like fun segments. It's going to be very much like I don't want to make it formal. I want to make it kind of like Schmoes. I want to make it very informal, very much like I'm just ranting about this crazy cool anime that I watch and you should check out, or an old anime that I thought was super cool and that everyone should tune into it. So yeah, man, I'm planning to do segments. I'm planning to do little skits to go with it. It's going to be a lot of fun. I'm excited for that for sure. And it's all anime, Japanese. Um, so if you're into that, or if you want to get into it, and if you want to learn about it, then be on the lookout for that. It's coming. It's just coming very slowly.
Well, like I said, what I was saying, you have an audience for it for sure. So I think people are definitely going to get excited for that. They're going to get excited for the new segment, by the way. I think I upset somebody because when they told me to ask you about anime, and I was like, yeah, I can only really speak to Dragon Ball Z. And then whoever it was, I'm forgetting your name, but they got upset with me. Like they had a little mini rant as to why I needed to
It's
expose
funny they get
myself.
upset with you, man, but Dragon Ball Z is that catalyst. It's that thing that brings you into anime. That's what brought me into anime. Obviously, what initially got me into anime was Dragon Ball Z, but what kind of re-brought me into anime, I guess you could say, or what reignited my passion for anime was Attack on Titan. But Dragon Ball Z is beautiful, man. It's one of those things where it's just exciting to see these two Saiyan warriors, Vegeta and Goku. Vegeta, who's probably my all-time favorite character of anything.
He's a badass.
You know, yeah, I love Vegeta so much. And to see these two guys who wanted to kill each other to prove they're the best, and now that there's new aliens coming to Earth, and they just want to destroy you just to prove they're better than you, and they will do everything in their power just to prove they're the best in the universe. And to me, that's so cool. It's such an interesting story to see these two guys kind of working to see who's the best in the universe. Like, it's just one big fight after fight, and it's just so much fun, man.
Ace is getting super sweaty. Everyone, that's what you can expect from his YouTube channel coming up, though. So definitely be on the lookout for that. Paul, I think we're good to move into the time capsule, and we'll close this sumbitch out. Yeah, actually, I'm going to let Ace take care of it because I want to talk about specifically the episode that he first worked. Let's talk about your first days working for Schmoes Know and what those episodes were.
Yeah, first day working. It's funny. I found the studio, and I was looking for found Ken, and he kind of gave me the rundown of what was going on. And the first show I was ever on, so I was behind the scenes on it, was The Death of Finntock.
Yeah.
Which was hysterical because I pretty much just met the guy. And I remember Miri being on the show as well. But basically, this is the whole reveal of Tom saying that he might have to part ways with Finntock for some time, and he can't keep being Finntock all the time. So it was one of those things where even I had to yell out from the background and from behind the scenes and be like, no, don't do it, and kind of the whole thing.
That's true. I never thought about it. So, like, yeah, you've been following the show up until that point, and you know who Finntock is, and then when you're working, it's like, it's just such a pivotal moment in the show. It's kind of funny. I never thought of it like that.
Yeah, for sure.
That must have been something just bonkers to watch live. Because he has that whole, like, Smeagol Gollum conversation with himself, and everyone at the table is, like, looking at each other like, what the hell is happening?
Yeah, he sure did. That was great. He's a talented guy, man. He's a hilarious dude. But yeah, he definitely had that whole, like, conversation about how it's two different people and how one takes over the other sometimes, and he has to keep Finntock in check, and sometimes Finntock just comes out at the wrong moments.
It's also, you had celebrity guests on that show too. So that day when you were on the set, was that the first time that you ever had encountered like certain celebrities? If I'm remembering correctly, were Anthony and Gruber, who was in Age of Adeline, and it was also William Maypother and his castmate from that movie. I can't remember who it was, though. Is that right?
That is correct. Yeah. Well, in Gruber, I remember him being such a nice guy. He actually Skyped in, and he was super nice, man. He was such a nice dude. And I keep, every time someone brings up, it's funny because someone brought up at work, they were like, why didn't it go with that one guy, Anthony and Gruber? And I was like, I know Anthony and Gruber, as if I met the guy, but I just saw the guy through Skype and I waved at him. But it's yeah. I met the guests and I introduced myself to the guests, and It's definitely interesting, man. I'm pretty good with it for the most part, just because I work with talent every day here in Los Angeles, because I work in production. I'm not too shy around people, but yeah, it's always fun. It's always fun to have guests come in the show.
The first episode that you actually appeared on, you had Katie Sackhoff on. So I was just curious. It's kind of the same question, but were you a big Battlestar fan? Like, was that something special to have her appear on the show for you?
It's funny. I'm not, dude. I'm not a big Battlestar fan, but I was actually, ironically enough, kind of nervous to meet Katie. Not necessarily because it was Katie Sackhoff, although she's a big star, but because I was nervous when Christian brings me up and he's like, all right, this is your final test in the interview. We're going to have Katie Sackhoff ask you any questions, and if you mess it up, you're out. But if she likes you, you're in. And she's asking me these questions, and I'm shaking in my boots, man. I'm freaking out the whole time. And she's asking me, I'm like, what if Katie doesn't like me? What if she says I'm not cool enough? What if she says I'm too stale? What if she says I'm boring? And but sure enough, she's like, yeah, the kid's fine. Take him on the show. But it's funny. I had that moment where I was like, that whole, like, every time you meet a celebrity, you just want to be like, hey, I just want to say I'm a big fan. I love your work and blah, blah, blah.
Right.
And I had that moment with Katie where I was like, hey, Katie, I just want to say I love Riddick. I saw you in that. And the first thing she says, she's like, yeah, did you like my boobs in that movie? That's the first thing she says to me.
What'd you say?
And I said, yeah, of course.
You said yes.
How was it? What am I going to say no?
That's probably why you've been around all this time. It was all due to the fact that you liked Katie Sackhoff's breasts. That's why you're here, Ace. That's why you're here.
Man. That's why I'm on the show right now.
Well, that was a lot of fun. I liked hearing all that. I think we're gonna wrap it up here. What do you think? Are we about done?
I think we are. This is probably one of my favorite episodes we've ever done. Really cool. Really cool, man.
Yeah, you guys are great, man. You guys are definitely cool for doing this, man. I appreciate it.
Yeah, Paul, like you said, I think we had a ton of fun. This is one of my favorite episodes. I'm looking forward to doing more with you, Ace. I hope you come back, and we can have more of a traditional episode of our podcast with you as well. Like, again, I'd like to hear you as a fan talk more about what goes on. But yeah, this was great. I mean, this felt like we kind of opened the door to the behind the scenes, and we got to know Ace. That was really important for me. Because, again, I touched on the fact that I just felt like I didn't know you as well. But now I'm looking forward to seeing everything from you in the future. I think your animation segment's gonna work out great. So I can't wait to see what else you do. With that being said, let's go around and tell everybody out there in Schmoeville where they can find us if they're not following us already. Starting with you, Ace.
Yeah, you can find me on Twitter and Instagram. Instagram, even though I don't use it much. I'm on Twitter at Squad Leader Ace, which is actually an Attack on Titan reference. So yeah, there's my anime reference on that too. So Squad Leader Ace.
Fantastic. Paul, where you at, my man?
I am on Twitter at the Mr. Wolf. That's spelled WULFF, and it's Mr. MR. And you can also find me making the rounds with some interviews. For those of you who have been following the podcast, I did not get the position I interviewed for previously. I'm trying to broaden my horizons, but I do have one tomorrow. I have one on Tuesday, and I have one on Wednesday, all for 3 different school districts. So cross fingers, Schmoeville out there for me. But
yeah, good luck, man.
Yeah, thanks, man. And let's see if one of them hits. I'm looking forward to it. One of them's in my hometown, so I don't have very far to go. So I'm crossing my fingers there. So there's where you'll find me.
Everybody hit up Paul and wish him luck on these interviews. You got to get one of those, man. You're going to kill it.
They're all in my wheelhouse. I can't wait.
Yeah. You're going to kill it. You can find me on Twitter at Film Beef Snell. You can also find me on the Film Beef podcast. We're starting Game of Thrones recaps, and Roka has been joining us, so definitely go check that out. That's been a lot of fun.
Ooh, if you guys need a Game of Thrones expert, there's only one person who can keep up with Ken Knopsok, and you guys are speaking to him right now.
Oh yeah? Okay, well, I'll jot that down. I'll make sure my co-host knows, because he's the one that
Game of Thrones is probably my biggest passion, man. I love it. I mean, I have a lot of passions, but Game of Thrones is one of my biggest passions ever. So.
All right, well, consider you booked for this week's episode. Yeah, definitely check out our Game of Thrones recaps on Film Beef, and this weekend we're going to review The Nice Guys. So definitely check that out. I'm really excited for that. That's all I got. Thank you, Schmoeville. This was a great episode, and we'll see you next week.
Peace out, Mother Fs.